you gonna help me choose the cards? Baxter is adding his blessing to this practice through these cards. He's very curious about them. Dog energy is nice. Oh, dog energy is so nice. Playful, loyal, gentle. Maybe will help inspire some themes we work with today. Dog love. What do you think, Baxter? This one? Yeah? You know what? I was thinking about dogs. I wasn't thinking about our practice. Let me be a little more mindful with what I pull. Ground myself a bit. All of us together. Okay. A question popped up in my head as I was shuffling, and it was, what is going on and why? Which may sound very vague, but maybe these cards will help us. Excuse me. Excuse me. We have the Six of Cups and Temperance. And the color schemes are actually pretty similar here. Here's a close-up of Temperance. And we have the balance of all the elements here. You can see fire, water, air, and earth. Her hair is blowing in the air. Got a mountain in the back. Some volcanic wave of fire and water happening here. And she's just dancing in it, a part of it, swaying in all the balance of all that's going on. And then here we have the Six of Cups. You can see the position of these characters here. That's pretty triumphant with the one arm up. And they're coming out of the sea. Again, here's what it looks like with both of these cards next to one another. Just kind of take in these images. And as we begin our practice, you might close your eyes and recall these images in your mind's eye. We can get to a meditation here in a few moments. I'll hold this up for a little longer. But as you find your meditation, it might be seated. You might sit up against something, perhaps, something like a wall or something behind you. Maybe you sit in a chair, maybe you lay down. Anything that helps you feel supported. And as we come into this, let's come into a sense of balance and flow. So we can scan both sides of our body, noticing the right side of the body to start. Maybe your legs are crossed. Maybe you choose to sit in the hero's pose instead. Your lower body is up to you. Your whole body is up to you, actually. But as we come into the seat, notice the right side to begin with. Just scanning from the bottom of the right foot through the entire foot. Noticing the right ankle, the lower leg, the right knee, bringing the awareness up to that entire thigh and your right hip. Moving it up through that right side body, noticing your core, noticing the right rib cage and the chest, the right shoulder, moving it down the right arm, through the elbow, forearm, wrist, and hand. Breathe into the right side of your body with big inhales to swoop from foot to hand. So the inhales, noticing all of it. What do the exhales bring you? We think of exhales as a release, as a letting go, but they can bring us things too. Noticing the breath in the right side. A few more rounds of breath. What does this release gift you? We'll take a breath together on that right side. In and out. And then center your awareness on the bottom of the left foot. We'll notice the left side, the entire foot, the ankle, the lower leg and knee, the thigh, and that left hip. The left side body, abdomen, rib cage, chest, shoulder, arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, hand. Deep breaths on this left side of the body. Attention to the exhales. Good, let's take another breath together on that left side. In and out. Good. Sending your focus to your seat now. And noticing any balance from side to side. Really root down, spread out the even weight of your distribution. Feel your seat and root down. Starting the foundation of this practice evenly. We'll check in with ourselves here throughout our entire chakra system. A system that is made up of 7 main chakras, a few minors, but we'll focus on the main ones. They're all parts and pieces of a whole. So when we think of balance, you might just think of everything working as it should be, functionally, flowing. Let's think about what should is. Balance is an act. It's not a result. It is something that happens, not a goal necessarily. There's no end result in which everything is balanced and perfect. If there's some depletion, then there may be some excess. And this all kind of shifts and changes. So we'll check in with ourselves in an honest way, in a non-judgmental way. Just being pure with starting with the root chakra. So check in with Muladhara. Physically, you might locate it right at your seat. Right where your seat can make contact with the earth beneath you. This chakra relates to the earth element and any part that shows up in our life regarding earth. So our bodies, our homes, our families, our sense of community, our sense of safety. We can ask ourselves as we check in with Muladhara, how am I feeling safe? Maybe we drop off the how. Ask yourself, am I feeling safe? Do you feel safe in your body, in your home, in your community? You may imagine the color red. And we'll take a few deep breaths to truly sit with this sense of safety, of earth. Feel your seat on the floor. You may see the color red. We'll take a deep breath together here, in and out. We'll bring the awareness to the second chakra now, the sacral. It is right above the root. You might feel it in your womb or your groin. Those reproductive organs. This is the part of us that's creative. When we use this part of ourselves and when we connect this part with others, it can create the ultimate act of creation, bringing life into this world. We can think of this as tantric energy or Shakti energy, or that life force, creation. So we can ask ourselves, am I creative? When we're able to feel safe in our environments, in our bodies, in our homes. When our basic needs are met, we can start to individualize, get more personal with ourselves, more expressive, more intimate. This creativity can go all parts of our lives. Even if you don't view yourself as a quote creative or an artist, so to speak, everything we can do can be creative because you are doing it. You're the individual that is acting in your life. How do you go about it? Take a few moments here, sit with it. You might see the color orange. One more deep breath through the sacral. Good. Solar plexus is next. Manipura. You might see yellow. And it's right above the navel, right under the diaphragm. This builds upon those concepts of individuality that we explore in the sacral, Svadhisthana, and make it even more individualized to us. So we have our creativity. Now we're starting to form some opinions around that, some sense of value, of self-worth. Maybe a sense of protection of our ideas, of our bodies. Anger can be stored here. I say this because it's something I'm personally have been working through. But there's something beautiful about anger. Because once we feel it, we're feeling it because we know we might deserve better. Let's drop out might. We know we deserve better. Yeah, that is not the right way to use the word might. In terms of the solar plexus, our might, our strength, our mightiness, our power, yes, this is it, definitive. We check in with ourselves, we are honest and we are non-judgmental. Am I safe? Am I creative? Am I valuing myself? This is what solar plexus asks. What are your values? A few moments here. solar plexus, see that yellow, feel it in your core. Take a deep breath. We'll shift it up to the heart. Now this is the center point between the 7 main chakras. It's right in the center of our chest. The first 3 are more personal to us, about our individual selves and lives. The heart is how we connect to others, bringing what we've learned in these first 3. Having a solid foundation there, safety, self-worth. Those are the parts and pieces that help us connect with others in a way that not only helps us, but the other. The sense of reflection here, of understanding, of compassion and empathy. Green in the heart, the element of air. Am I loving? Am I open to being loving? Am I open to receiving love? Check in with your own heart for a deep breath in and out. Good. Next comes the throat. You might see the color blue, Vishuddha. We bring our words and thoughts out into the world with this chakra. This is how we express everything beneath us, everything that we have come to learn. How do you communicate? Feeling your throat and anything that may be blocked here. Are there thoughts you aren't sharing? And then to counter that, notice if anything is flowing too freely here. Is there an outpouring of thought without really actually sitting with the thought first? I feel like right now in these times, this one seems to be either or. There's a lot of thoughts and opinions being swirled around. And since there isn't much physical contact that people are making, there's a lot going on here. There's not much connection through the earth with one another, sharing space, seeing eye contact, hearing voices, feeling the vibration of these voices. When we've been away from one another for so long and we're just reading words, it can get quite confusing. We might sit with our throat, whether it be blocked or open or balancing between the two, going back and forth and back and forth. Be honest, be non-judgmental with yourself. What is the function of your expression right now? Deep breath. Good. We deepen further to the third eye, the very center of the forehead. Our light blue shade shifts to a darker blue, more of an indigo. And it's more of a deepening. This is our intuition. This is the part of us that doesn't need words. This is the part of us that just knows. What do you understand? What is your truth? It's okay if it's hazy. Just notice the very center of your forehead. What is your intuition telling you? Do you hear it? Do you feel it? Are you listening? Deep breath in and out. Allowing that indigo to radiate. When we shift up to the crown, the very top of the head, we might see purple now. Full spectrum. This is our connection to the divine. This is a more esoteric part, the metaphysical. Complete faith and trust. And going back to a sense of balance between all of these chakras. Just because the meditation began at the root doesn't mean that that's where everything begins. Some things begin up here. Sometimes we receive an insight that seems to be out of nowhere. And we have to figure out how to make it work with the rest of us. When our crown is active or receptive, these insights can come to us. It's like when you're at a job that you know you're not happy with, or in a relationship that you know you're not happy with. And you feel it. And spirit might be telling you, yo, you're not aligned right now. But maybe because it's a job or a source of income, you stay to keep your root happy. Or because it's a relationship, you might stay because you think that your sacral and heart might need this. Kind of goes back to all the complexities of these 7 different parts of our body, of our mind, of our lives, and the parts and pieces of it all. Where does it begin? Where does it end? Well, that's the thing. There is no beginning or ending. It just is. Balance just is. Sit with your own connection of the divine, of whatever that means to you, of any higher power that helps you out, that might guide you. Whether it be God, if you call it that, maybe your ancestors. Another deep breath in and out. Good. And then very slowly bring the awareness back down to your seat. Good. And then we will slowly begin to kind of move around and adjust, get out of our seat or laying down position if we were in it. Let us stand up slowly. You normally don't stand in class, but it feels right. So we can feel the feet on the floor and the rest of us going upwards. And we'll shift our weight here. Notice the right side and the left, the front and the back, the toes, the heels. Good. The length of your own legs. Maybe some shifts, some wiggles, some exploration with the arms perhaps. Yeah, that looks great, one of these. Good. So we were sitting for a while. Feel free to move around, get some blood flowing, some energy flowing. Maybe some shoulder rolls. Good. And we'll root back down, find a little bit of stillness for mountain pose, Tadasana. You might have the hands pointed in front of you, or maybe they're right by your side. And we'll take a few moments to check back in with these parts of ourselves again, with these chakras. So in a seated position, it might feel different, but when we're standing, we're engaging our entire body. Bring a little more awareness. And as we check in now, maybe a little more specificity, a little more clarity as we answer these questions, as we check in with our root. Am I safe? Our sacral. Am I creative? Solar plexus. Am I valued? Heart. Am I compassionate? Throat. Am I expressive? Third eye. Am I intuitive? Crown. Am I connected to the divine? As we breathe in, we'll bring the arms up overhead, feeling the feet on the floor, the hands in the sky. It's okay, I know nothing's wrong. You can maybe look at your fingers. Maybe you can wiggle them a little like in tennis. Good. Press down into the feet, a little engagement. Inhale, notice those hands. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down past the crown to the third eye, dragging them down the face, touching through the throat, through the heart, the belly and solar plexus. over the groin, and then bringing the hands down by our sides, feeling your root again and the feet on the floor. We'll do another round of that. Inhaling the arms up to look up. Exhaling, dragging those hands down across those spark spots in your own pace. And then one more at your own pace. One more round of this. Brilliant. When you're ready, forward fold. Just hinge at the hips. And you might have some props nearby, perhaps, that can help you with this fold, something that can bring the ground to you instead of forcing yourself to the ground. Or maybe it's ragdoll with the arms, you grab opposite elbows. Bend the knees a little bit. Be a little generous with your hamstrings here, a little tender, a little gentle. Maybe you shake the hips a little bit. Maybe you lift and lower the heels or the toes. You might shake in the rib cage, the head. We'll hang out here for about 8 to 10 deep breaths. We're getting a different perspective here with these chakras. The root is now the highest one. The crown is now towards the bottom. Good. Feel this forward fold for another breath. Good. And then we'll begin to widen our stance here, come to a wider legged forward fold. You might maybe lift up to a halfway lift or something here if you kind of want to lengthen, strengthen through the spine. And your legs can be as wide as you're comfortable with. But check in with the feet. How does it feel with the toes pointing forward? How does it feel if you bring the toes inward a little bit or outward? Noticing what the relationship with your toes does to your ankle, to your knee, to your hips. Maybe you shake and wiggle from side to side a little bit, noticing the inner thighs. Gentle little explorative movements here. Good, and then we'll come into a little bit of a flow here. Let's bend one knee. We can start with the left and bring your hands towards that left foot. We're gonna bend that knee and then kind of drop your hips down to the left foot. Maybe you flex that right foot up, maybe not. You experiment with this in your own way. Just shifting your weight from the left. And then flowing and walking the hands over to the right side. We bend that knee and we lengthen on the other side. So we do this at our own pace here. This is a great way of kind of going from side to side, getting a little bit of balance and embodying that temperance card. We'll continue this at our own pace. And I will read from the guidebook what they have to say about temperance. Temperance is the card that happens right after the death card. It's the 14th in the major arcana. So with death, there's this letting go, right? This ultimate letting go. So we might feel a little bit of grief, perhaps. But there's this emptiness. There's this newness. There's this gift that the exhale brings us. From the guidebook, as it describes the card, it says, "The goddess has entered the dancer's body. Her dance has set the waves of the ocean on fire. Nothing is impossible. An aurora borealis shimmers colored light across the night sky. The wilderness of the night enters her body to heal and regenerate old wounds. Her art now is everything." And I actually really love what they have to say, so I'll keep reading. Temperance has learned how to direct the potential around her to a coherent purpose. She has discipline or a victory in the emotional, psychic, and creative fields. She knows about the place where art and science meet and has a mastery or equilibrium in the midst of it all. I'll repeat that. She knows the place where art and science meet and has the mastery or equilibrium in the midst of it all. She can be about a sexual or spiritual union in this merging field, in some way blessed by the goddess. Continue exploring these side by side here, this left and this right side. Our masculine and feminine sides of ourselves. Maybe you incorporate some arm stretches, perhaps. Get a little creative with our side-to-side exploration. And then when you're ready, we can meet one another in that standing forward fold, our legs wide. And slowly we can heel toe them a little closer so that we can drop into a goddess squat. So however far distance your own legs need for this, drop the pelvis down. I'm a big fan of having my elbows on the inner knees, bringing the hands together. You can have your hands here. Maybe it looks more like this. Maybe you sit on something. Let's find a little bit of strength here. Even though temperance is about balance of all the elements, there is a big message that linked to the sacral, of that creativity, of that Shakti energy. So let's notice that here. We might even kind of engage those lower abdominals a little bit. And when we have strength on this front lower abdominal region, that will help our sacrum, the actual bone back there. If there's any overextension, that strength and that engagement on the front lower abs can help balance that. Feeling the feet on the floor, feeling your sacral. 3 more breaths intentional in this squat. Good. From here, we're going to slowly stand back up. So those feet on the ground, we lift our knees. One more standing position, nice and slow. We can reach the arms up. Say thank you, Goddess. Breathe it in. And exhale, release to Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. Wonderful. Let's come to a seat. Staff pose, Dandasana. Both legs are in front of us now. We can have our hands by our sides here. We can point and flex our toes, maybe make some circles with the ankles, wiggle the toes perhaps, bend and straighten the knees. Good, and then move the meat of your seat here so that you feel your sit bones. Hands outside the hips, palms facing down. Let's drop one ear to one shoulder. Doesn't matter which one. We'll begin just in one direction. You can kind of experiment with the chin lifting and lowering towards the chest. Good, deep breath. And then when you're ready, bring your head the other way. Exploring that side of your neck. Opening and closing the mouth too, that's helpful. Good, deep breath. When you inhale, bring the head to center. Notice the crown of your head lifting up. When you exhale, drop your ear the other direction towards the shoulder. Good, inhale to the center, nice and long. Exhale to the other side. Good, we'll pass this back and forth. As you make these movements, allow the breath to be nice and slow and full. Your pace might be a little slower than what I started off with. And when your head goes in one direction, notice that opposite shoulder as it lengthens and keeps you down and grounded. So as we're moving this back and forth, we're noticing the throat region and the neck. And these inhales bring a sense of alignment from root to crown before we go the other way. A moment to recenter and focus before we see the other side. This is a time to really tune in to the other side, whatever that might mean. Maybe an opinion you don't necessarily agree to. Can you listen to it? Can you sit with it? Good. Whenever you lean to the left next, we're gonna slowly bring that right arm up and over. We're incorporating arms now. Find it for a moment. You might kind of experiment with where the shoulder is, where the rib cage is. Maybe it's a little bit of a lean, maybe not. Deep breath. Good, and then the other side. Swapping it out, right hand down, left arm up. Might have a lean, might not. Deep breath. Good, swap it down. Pass this back and forth at your own pace. Our inhales can bring both hands up. That feels really right. Both hands up, reaching up to the crown, to the divine. Our exhales deepen. So here with this, not only are we kind of balancing from side to side, but also from up to down, from the air to the earth. Let's do 4 more rounds of breath. So from side to side 2 more times. Good. Whenever you're ready, we'll notice our seat again. And then we will twist from side to side as we're seated. So let's start by bending that right knee, cross it over the left leg. This can be where you twist from. You might bend that left knee, twist from here. Whatever works from you. The right hand's our stabilizer, and the left hand or elbow helps us twist. Before you twist, notice your seat, and then start the twist from the root up. So noticing the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart. You might twist in the neck, through the throat. The third eye might be pointing to the wall beside you or even behind you. And that crown is lifted nice and high. Feeling long and strong. We'll take a few breaths in this twist. Take another deep breath. Good. We'll unwind to the center. We can counter twist the other way for a breath. Good. And then let's lift up this right foot. Let's grab the knee and the ankle on that right side and kind of make circles with this hip here. It can be with your hands like this. Maybe you use your elbows, kind of feel like more of a hugging caress like this. You might kind of lean into it a little bit. Just notice that hip joint, that side of your groin, the thigh, the glute, and the low back, the entire right region. When we have it positioned like this with our knee outward, we get a little bit of external rotation here. Good. And then we can bring it back to center, the knee towards the chest. And you might have your hand on the foot or the ankle or the shin, and we'll straighten this leg as far. The knee might not be all the way straight. Just lengthen through the back of this right leg. You might point and flex the toes. Good. Take a big breath in and out through that right leg. And then when you're ready, lower it next to the left. We'll neutralize ourselves here by taking a forward fold. We can inhale the arms up to find length first. And then we'll fold forward, lead with the heart. You might grab the feet or ankles. You might have the hands on the floor. Take a few moments to have this nice balanced hold, symmetrical from side to side. Good, deep breath. Come back up to center. And let's twist the other way. Cross that left foot over. Good, and twist. So we get into this twist in our own way, and we'll take a few moments in it. Good, another breath in the twist. Release it to center. We'll open up on this left hip now with these movements. Grabbing the ankle and the knee, maybe with the hands or with the elbows. Good, feeling that outward rotation in the hip. And then swinging that outward back in, knee comes towards the chest, we lengthen through the leg. We point and flex the toes. And we breathe nice and deeply in and out. Good. Lowering the leg. Take another forward fold, inhaling the arms up. Exhaling to fold. Just a couple deep breaths. Good. Release it back up to a seat. Bend your knees, feet on the floor, drop the knees from side to side. Notice the seat, getting a little massage on the glutes. And then slowly bring your spine down. You can continue those side to side movements, maybe bringing the knees in towards the chest. I apologize for not keeping a closer eye on the time. We will go a little over. If you have time commitments, I deeply apologize. I was channeling something fierce, I think, but let's notice the floor beneath us so we can close out this practice by thinking about the Six of Cups. That was the one with the victorious sort of position, the one arm up, like a salute with their cups. Cups being the element of water. And then it's also the same element that rolls over the sacral. So it deals with our emotional sides, our intense emotional expression. 6 signifies the number of freedom, free of limitations. This card is the archetype of bursting free of emotional limitations. Of empowering whatever emotion we might be feeling. Living a life of honest expression for these feelings. Trusting that what is being felt is okay to be felt. So we can allow this archetype to inspire our Shavasana, our final resting pose. As we scanned and tuned in to all parts of ourselves, moved around some energy, what are you left with? What are you left feeling? Can you live a life of honest expression of that feeling? Can you salute your glass to that feeling? Let's bring ourselves to this floor, to this position of rest. You might bring yourself to a table. You might have to pull up your own seat to this table. You're at the head of the table. And with you at this table are your guests, your emotions. The table is a rectangle. You're at the short end of the rectangle. On one side are these emotions that you're comfortable with. On the other side of this long rectangular table are the emotions that you might not necessarily be comfortable with. In this table, these side-to-side emotions are facing one another. And you have all of them. You have the joy, you have the grief. You have the trust, you have the fear. You have the pleasure, the anger, the contentment, the sorrow. These are all guests at your table. Take a few more moments to sit with this. And you might even experiment with lessening these pivoted 90-degree angles of this table and instead forming a circular or oval shape. Soften these edges and this duality of this side, one side, other side, but instead all one circuit, all one unit. You have a seat at this table, and so does everything else that you're a part of. And you can all see eye to eye. You can all feel the flow of this liberation, of this empowerment. Yes, you are allowed. Begin to deepen your breath. Notice each exhale that you take, the gift of release. With each exhale, you might blow away each member at this table, thanking them for attending, allowing them to move on. Closing up this meeting with this circular table. We bring it back into the body with little movements in the fingers and toes. You might open and close the mouth, shake the head a little bit. We can curl up on our sides for a few moments. Contemplate any messages we might have received from the divine, from ourselves. When you feel that you have had it all nice and sealed in, we can sit up and close out practice with one another. Your hands might come to your chest or your heart in some way. I thank you deeply for joining this practice today. Feeling a sense of gratitude in yourself. You can close out with an Om. You might join me in chanting or receive my Om by listening. Let's inhale. Namaste.